What is up, everyone? Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Fowl Talk Podcast. Hope you're having a great day. It is dove season. By the time you're listening to this, it is dove season, so I hope you're cranking on them. If you aren't and want to get a hunt, reach out to us at Dirty Texas Outfitters. We definitely want to get y'all taken care of. But without further ado, let me introduce my awesome co-host, Zane Martz. How you doing today, Zane?
I was doing good till I just got home.
Well, tell us.
I'm tired. I'm tired of cleaning up dog poop. My puppy had tummy troubles for like a week, and it was like every time we put him in the kennel, no matter how long it was, there's like diarrhea everywhere. And then Sam knows the story, but there was one night I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be smarter than that dog. I'm gonna set an alarm every 2 hours and wake up and let him out. That way, it's like he's good. It's like first 2 hours I walk out there, he's already pooped all over the kennel, and you can tell it's like he's actually sick. It's not his fault. I'm like, dang it, I missed it. But then I grab, a second kennel and I throw him in that one. Like, well, at least he got it out of his system. He's good. And I woke up like 3 hours later to check on him and he'd done it again. I was like, you freaking kidding me? So had to clean up all that for a week. He's good. Took him to the vet, got all the meds. No worms. I'm assuming it's from all the cicadas he eats.
Dude, he eats
Is what it is.
like fucking candy, man.
He'll catch him out of the air. It's wild. And who am I to stop him from, that's what he's supposed to do in theory. So I'm like, I'm not gonna jump on him for it. But he's been good. And I get home from being out all day and walk into my garage and I kind of smell dog poop. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I wonder if something's out here from like when we were cleaning. Then I open up the entry into my garage goes straight in the laundry room. The laundry room is like 10 by 5, like it's a small, and then there's another door that shuts off the laundry room. And somehow my 90-pound German Shepherd locked herself in that room. And she has really high anxiety for whatever reason. It started when she was a puppy, and she usually is fine. But being locked in that confined space for who knows how long made her panic. And I walked in there, and there was just dog poop everywhere. Like big old, thankfully it wasn't diarrhea, but like big old turds that have been mashed up on the floor. Like you can tell it was just like expelling. She was like panicking expel, and I was gone for 5 hours. So who knows how long she was actually in there and how many times she actually use the restroom. So I've been mopping that up for the last 30 minutes.
Dude,
I look sweaty.
There's nothing worse than a dog stress shit like that. Like it's just the absolute worst.
And like I feel bad because like the laundry room's almost like with the accessible space she has, it's almost the size of a kennel, but like there's no airflow in there or anything. So she was just locked in there and it's 100-degree heat, who knows how long. And like you could tell she feels bad about it. Like she wants to like hide. I'm like, it's okay. Like it's not you. But I'm like, how in the world did you do that? Like, because I left the door open. That sometimes that airflow, like, well, the back door is not open, but sometimes like the airflow when I open up the garage door, the garage is open or like pressurize and shut that middle door. But I didn't have the back door open, so I don't know what would have happened.
I don't know.
I feel bad for her. I'm just tired of cleaning up poop.
I apologize. Can you hear Sunny in the background? Our weenie dog is whining. And I apologize. I'm gonna get up and shut this door real quick. 1 second. All right, I'm back. But dude, I don't know. Animals do that. This is kind of on the same topic. I don't know. You probably don't watch it, but you familiar with like Demolition Ranch on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well,
Did he ever finish his house?
They did, yeah, but that was on his other channel, Off the Ranch, and
yes,
with his abandoned mansion. Well, he's got a new deal out where he bought this badass old resort down there in Burning, close to his house, and they're renovating it all. Well, like it had been abandoned for like 20 years, like nobody had been running it or anything. So it was like a sheep farm. I say like the sheep like mouflons, shit like the one behind you on your wall, like that kind of sheep.
yeah.
And they do like they're going through like all these rooms and stuff. You can watch it. There's just like dead rams just in there, like locked themselves in and they just died. Like that sucks.
That sucks.
Sucks to not have thumbs, son.
Yeah, that us having thumbs is like I think they say that's what actually separates us from being basically prey, right? That and our ability to run, our ability to sweat and have opposable thumbs are like the two things that set us apart and make us an apex predator. Because we're one of the few species that I can't personally, and I know you for sure can't, that can just continually run. So like,
Yeah.
like if we're chasing a deer can run for a little bit, but then they have to stop and walk. Whereas humans should just keep a constant pace going and continue to chase. So basically, we can just wear out our prey back in the day.
Yeah, dude.
Nowadays, we don't have to, but
I watched
that's,
this
I think,
video on like this can come off really bad, but like there's like some Aborigines dudes over in Africa, and like they were hunting these kudus, and like they're like in a village, it's like untouched, well not untouched, but like they don't use modern ways. It's like I guess Amish people, but over in Africa, and just the OG original Aborigines people. Anyways, they would chase these kudus for like 10 to 15 miles, dude, just until the kudu was so worn out it physically fell over and like started to die because it couldn't run anymore, couldn't sweat, didn't have water, and they just like keep up a steady trot.
yeah,
Like
they literally just keep going. It's wild. I get a quarter mile under me and I'm dying,
dude.
but I'm also fat.
I get up and I start dying. But anyways, we kind of want to recap. We the last podcast we talked about, what people or what we are personally wearing kind of in the field, our gear we use, our guns, ammo, just kind of the gear we use every day. Personally, now we kind of wanted to go through and let y'all know what, as an operation, DTO runs. Give you honest feedback, kind of the same way we did with our personal gear. But this stuff is stuff that gets ragged on, gets beaten to shit every day. The pros and cons of some stuff. And like I said, we use a lot of different companies. Just because we might rag on some companies doesn't mean we don't like them a lot, because some of them we use day in and day out, but they kind of fall apart, but we have to use them. So we'll just kind of dive into that. And first, I guess if we want to, we'll start off with our A-frames, because we kind of run them a different style than everybody does. We run a couple different style A-frames. We'll run the Lucky Duck A-frames, and we also run the tangle-free panel blinds. So we do a little bit of both. But for our crane hunts, primarily, we run the Lucky Duck A-frames. And most people, what they do is, if you're running it's the Lucky Duck 2x4 A-frame. So if you go on Lucky Duck, that's what it is, if you don't know. And it's made up of like 2 5-foot sections that kind of come together. So there's like, there's like a middle wall, and then like on the other side of that, there's another wall, or not a wall, but like a frame basically. And you're supposed to build the frame up and then, roll out your tarps basically and put those on front and back, clip them together on the sides. Well, that's not how we run them. So what we do is whenever we first get them, we put the frame together, and number one, we pop out those stupid tabs that they come with at the bottom, where they clip in like there's 3 supports that are run along the bottom, that go from each side. We pop the tabs out on all those. So all 6 of them, we pop them out because they're the devil. And if you're running, once or twice a year, maybe once a month, not too often, I'd recommend leaving those in because they are good to keep things from sliding out. But the way we commercially run them, and your fingers are cold, it gets frozen, there's dirt in there, shit just doesn't work, and it's obsolete. You don't need them, in my opinion. But once we do that, we end up basically making it 2 panels, if that makes sense. So you have your full front wall, your full back wall, and then you have your 3 pieces, your 2 ends, and then your middle brace that these run from, front and back panel, middle, and then the ends. So what we do is we self-tap every joint on the front panel and on the back panel. So our blind basically becomes 5 different pieces. Your front panel all together is 1, your back panel all together is 1, and your middle and your 2 end pieces. So 5 total. And then we also put the canvas tarp, whatever you're going to call it, with, your, I don't know what you call it, your straps to put your vegetation and your veggie straps or whatever. And
veggie straws.
Yeah, just came up with it off the top of my head.
Reminds me of veggie straws.
Ugh.
The chip things that aren't even made of vegetables, just a fake
branding. But so we do that anyways, and we put them up. That way we can run them. All you have to do is slide the front panel on the 3 ends and middle. And I apologize if this is kind of confusing. and then the same on the front. So it's really easy setup, really easy takedown, and you don't have to sit there and, roll all the tarps out, connect every piece in the morning, worrying about losing a piece. You have just a few pieces to take care of. Personally, I like this. It's quick and it's fast. The downside to this is when you're on day 7, 15, 20 in a row, basically, you get tired, you kind of get lazy. So putting those on there can kind of torque them. And we're talking about just like the thinnest aluminum basically you can find. So those frames end up bending and kind of snapping. So we had, I don't know, 2 or so blinds this year where we had to actually get what is that? Remember when we got zip ties, but that, almost like Bondo stuff, just glue, tape, everything we could, sticks, sturdy wood to put them together, basically to tie them together and kind of limp them to the end of the season. So I know Zane's probably got something to say on that. What were your thoughts on running those Lucky Duck A-frames this last year?
I like them. If we ran them right, they would have been better. But also, if you didn't alter them like we did, those tabs are a bitch. And if they need to, that's the one complaint I have on them. I guess there's a couple of complaints, but they're not really that bad. Those tabs that you push to separate, they're picture if anybody's ever put up a canopy, that little bitty metal circle thing you press to slide the legs up, right? They're so small. Most of the hunting you do, it's relatively cold out, and if you're wearing gloves, you can't do it. And if it's cold and you press on it, it feels like you're breaking your thumb. So when we yank those out, they don't permanently stay in well. If somebody stands up and catches on it, it might pull the leg out. Hasn't happened, but it's possible. But I feel like they could probably design that better and have a bigger, oversized push tab. Maybe similar to one of the shotgun ones where it's kind of more of a lever, slide up and snap it in place. And then we run them different, like he said, where we leave the canvas on them at all times and leave them in sections. And it's going to be the same for every A-frame for the most part. When you have them brushed in beforehand, if you just roll up that canvas, fitting them back on the frame is a pain in the ass. So that's not a Lucky Duck issue. That's just a company issue.
They could make it a little bigger, like the loopholes in my what I'm calling the veggie straps. They could make that just a hair bigger and make the whole canvas just 4-5 inches longer to give you a little extra wiggle room to be able to put it on.
Or maybe towards the end add an elastic bungee style, in the seam. So when you pull on it, it gives it more stretch, but it'll always shrink. I don't know. That's an issue with all A-frames running them how they're supposed to be ran, where you break them down. That's the only benefit I think the panel blinds have over A-frames is that they're permanently attached and you don't have to roll them up. But panel blinds are awesome in their own right, but they have a lot of issues compared to A-frames.
Yeah, everything has their pros and cons. The tangle-free panel blind, which shout out to Corey Foskett, tangle-free, they'd make a phenomenal product just across the board. They've really revamped everything, and we absolutely love all their stuff. I can't praise that guy enough. Talking about a great large company that runs it like a family-owned and operated business. Well, it's because it's what it is, but they do a really good job. So shout out to Corey. But they the panel blinds, perfect design as far as the functionality of it. If it's not a windy day and you have your panel blinds with your 2 support poles, you have to have 2 panel blinds, quote unquote. If you were to go buy them, you'd have to buy 2. So it'd be a front set and then a back set.
I think it depends on how you run them because you don't need to. If you're duck hunting with your back to the woods or some of the stuff we do where we're kind of bunkered up against a fence line or trees, you could probably get away without 2, but it definitely helps to have 2.
Yeah. Zane's definitely right. They also, you can get the additional flip tops, which I've ran with them. I have some. We don't really run them because you can't fold them up accordion style like they normally are with the flip tops on. And that's kind of goes back to
you always lose the pins.
You always, even though they're tied on, those things break off.
Yeah, I don't think that's a product issue. I think that's just a trade issue. That's just, we're rough on stuff. I don't know if there's a way you could make it better. But the little pins that snap in, we always the metal pops off on them when we're throwing them around in the trailer and stuff. So
Yeah.
part of the reason we don't use them.
But long story short, we ran our Lucky Duck A-frames as our crane blinds, and then occasionally we run them as our duck blinds if we had easy access. But most of the time, our duck stuff was in more of a wooded when we hunted water. At least it was area where we couldn't drive the trailer right up to it. So carrying one panel blind in folded up accordion style or two on top of each other is way easier than having to lug those giant heavy panels with all those grass in there. So that's kind of our thought process on that. Take it for what it's worth. There's many companies out there. I'll be the first one to say it. Avian X came out with the Avian X A-frame, so I think they were the original. Then Tangle Free came out with theirs, and then I even think Dakota or somebody else came out with one, and you don't hear about it much, but they have one. And then Lucky Duck came out with theirs. We're big Lucky Duck guys. As far as it goes, they have pretty good customer service. As long as you can show a receipt that you bought it when you purchased it, most of the time they're going to take care of you. So we do appreciate Lucky Duck in a lot of different aspects. That's what we use for A-frames. Next we'll kind of jump into what we use for our layouts. Because if you're running an outfit, birds get used to stuff. You got to change it up always. There are a million different blinds you can go with. Everybody makes a layout line. Y'all can kind of see me, not really. I'm 6'3", pushing 400 pounds. Like I'm a big ass guy, and I don't fit in a little coffin blind very easy. And I want my customers, even the smaller people, I want them to have room. So what we do is we bought the Flight Series, the Tangle Free Flight Series layout blinds. Yes, they are in the Gore Optifade waterfowl marsh color, like that too, but also they're crazy roomy. Like they've got so much room, almost annoyingly they have enough room where you're like, if I got my phone on top of my gut and we go to shoot or something and it slides off, I'm like, reaching everywhere trying to find it. But I put every time we hunt, I put my bag behind my headrest. I have ample room, so I've got my gun, bag, water, room for my e-collar, for my dog, like everything. I've got all the room in the world. Very comfortable. You can fall asleep in them if you want. Like if you're hunting those all day snow feeds or all permanent snow goose spreads, kind of the whole thing, like what we did up in Missouri this year. Typically our hunts aren't that long, so we don't really get the opportunity to sleep in ours. But I can't say enough good things about those. They've got flagging, like zippers on the side, so you can reach out, you can flag. I've got really good pockets. The new ones, you can slide the like your shell pouches kind of that are on like a little sliding system. So if you're a shorter person, you can, push them forward more or backwards, whatever, and you can kind of tailor them to your needs. We started running those pretty heavy about midway through the season last year. Did you enjoy those, Zane? What are your thoughts on those?
I love them. They're roomy. They're comfortable. They sit pretty low. That's a big thing with layouts, I think, in my opinion. You have some that sit pretty high. Don't we have two different kinds? They're both flight, but don't we have like a big boy and a regular?
Yeah, while you're talking about that, I'm
I
gonna
don't.
look because I can't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah, I'm on the website right now. I don't know if they sell the big boy anymore or if they alternated the regular to the big boy. There's one that's a smidge wider. They're both flight series. I
Yeah,
don't know if maybe it's the
one of
flight
them,
series snap.
the snap one is the new one we got. That one we all agreed to like better. We always fought over who got to use those ones because I had like 3 or 4 of them. What's nice especially for me, I got a gut. The snap series blind, it's like kind of where your like midsection is, your knees, your bottom of your belly, your torso. It's like more of an arched area right there, which does sit taller, but it actually like gives you like way more room by adding that arch, kind of, if y'all can see this, instead of it just being perfectly flat, it adds that arch. And I really liked it a lot. And I think you did, and I think Truman did, and everybody else did this past season.
And all the customers, I remember we tell them we were hunting layouts. I hate layouts. Like they're always so crowded and they'd land. I'm like, oh, this is comfortable. Like this is roomy. I got, I can store all my stuff on the blind with me. Like I'm not crammed. And that's tough to do. I feel like out of a layout without making it stand out. And they did a good job. And from everybody I've talked to, most people love Tangle Free's layout. So if you're looking to spend money, it's probably not a bad brand to go with. We don't utilize it, but all of ours come with backpack straps, the whole flight series. I can't attest for the the rest of their stuff. But I mean, even just not that, checking somebody's website is
Yeah.
the best way to go about it, especially if you buy Harbor Freight like I do, like a lot of those reviews are kind of paid for, but almost every blind they have on here has extremely high reviews from their Flight Series swag blind, which I really want to get. That's the one that's more of like a sleeping bag blanket that, I mean, it's the lowest thing you can get without having just a backboard.
Yeah,
You get the different
that
blankets for
basically
it
it's
to
the backboard and a blanket for the most part.
yeah,
It
but
zips
but
in
it's
kind
all
of.
in one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So their ground ghosts and their dead zones, they're all very highly reviewed. And Corey, if you have complaints, Corey listens, so it's hard to not utilize them.
Yeah,
There's definitely some
they
badass
do.
layouts in the market, but we're partial to those.
Yeah, they do extensive field testing, and we haven't been a part of their field testing, so it's not like we get any bonus or credit or anything. Like, we're not making anything or have any like sort of connection that's anything your average Joe. We just know Corey, and he's always been just extremely honest with us. We've been extremely honest with him. He gives us his opinion, we give him our opinion because we use this stuff every day, and it's just been a really good business relationship. But what Zane was
And
talking
he
about,
doesn't get butthurt, which is nice. A lot of people it's like, oh, I want all the feedback you can give me, and you give them negative feedback, and they're like, well, it's because of this, and he's like, oh, like I've never seen that, like that's good, and you can actually tell he's like taking notes. He's like, I'm actually going to look into that. Like it doesn't hurt his feelings when you're like, hey, like this is really good product, but like there's an issue on this part. He loves it. He loves hearing, not loves that there's a problem, but loves hearing that there's a problem. So on the next iteration, he can make it better.
yep.
Which I think you've seen. Like on their decoys have exploded tenfold. They look 100 times better than they used to, and they last longer.
Oh yeah,
Just
the
everything
paint
across
doesn't
the
chip as
board.
bad. Well, hold on, yards. Yeah, what you were saying earlier is, yeah, we use two different. If you go on their website and you look up their Flight Series layout blinds, there's two of them. It's the original Flight Series layout blind. That's what we have the most of, and then what Zane and I were kind of talking about is the Flight Series Snap layout blind. It's a little more expensive. But if you have the money, I would definitely go with that one. I mean, this one MSRP, we're talking $40 more for that one. The grand scheme of things, $40 more isn't going to break you. If so, save up another week.
To be honest, you could probably find it like Rogers or Max or somebody probably runs a deal on it where it puts them even closer together. So
yeah,
Rogers probably has a deal on it right now.
Yeah, their stuff's great. And like they added all those new blankets, so we run their chairs and blankets from time to time when we can, but we prefer to run the layouts just because cranes are real finicky, as most of y'all know. But let's let you head off the next one, Zane. What other piece of equipment or decoys did we, what do you want to jump in that we ran and kind of go from there?
Man, decoys, we are all over the place. Crane wise, we run a lot of SX when we love Scott. This year we've bought one trailer now we're gonna have outfitted with all SX. One trailer is gonna be outfitted with all Deception, which Deception makes some badass stuff. And are they all American made?
Yeah,
no,
they're all American.
They are
Boisington.
So Deception's all American. SX comes from China. They're based out of. He just moved. I want to say it's like South Dakota now, but I don't remember. So we run those for full body crane. We don't run silos. Sam kind of turned me against them as well for crane just because they cast a big shadow. That being said, you can kill them over silos.
I grew up using when I started, it was Walmart bags and dowel rods. So I started with the shittiest of shit decoys. I bought dive bombs. I did the whole 9 yards. I have a stigma, dude. If you go on any sort of social media now, everybody is an outfitter. I've never dealt with this like we are this year, how diluted the fucking market is by these fly-by-night outfitters that have 24 fucking dive bomb silhouettes. Like the decoy looks like an ostrich. It's got a bright ass red flashlight on its head, and it casts a shadow from Lubbock to Dallas, which is, for y'all that don't know, it's a 6-hour drive, 5.5 hour drive almost. It's a long ass ways. And I have a stigma towards them. I'm not anti silhouettes because I've ran the Big Owls, which I think is a phenomenal silhouette. You saw them today, and when you were at Shields and stuff, but I really like those. They color match the same paint scheme as Deceptions. When I talked to Al, that was his goal. I don't know if he worked with Garrett, But that's just kind of my 2 cents on that. I have just a stigma against everything being so cheap now that anybody in Texas that has no experience, no nothing, can undercut the game and really just ruin it for the rest of us. So I'm partially ignorant when it comes to that and just frustrated. But kind of
I think me and Sam both are in agreement that Dive Bomb is like a great marketing company. They know exactly what they're doing when it comes to marketing. Like if you talk to anybody, Dive Bomb invented silos and they invented everything they sell. They invented, and it's like they didn't. And I feel bad for companies like I don't think Big Al started the silos, but he's kind of the OG that I know of. That kind of was in that market.
I think the first person that started them was the Real Geese. Real Geese Silos, one of the first ones way back when.
But yeah, like it's like people think, like I remember when they first came out and they were like, hey, have you heard of Dive Bomb silhouettes? Like they made like these flat boards and they look like realistic ducks. Like, dude, those have been around since Nam. Like, what do you mean they made? Like they just copied. And it's no necessarily hate against Dive Bomb. It's hate more against the people that are all over Dive Bomb. But yeah, like you said, everybody's an outfitter now, and I don't claim to be a professional guy. I don't claim to be an outfitter. I just help you, and we've mentioned that quite a bit. And you see, you see a lot of people, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm ordering the new Dive Bomb this," and they're part of the T-shirt club, which isn't even that. That and the sticker stuff is probably some of the more original ideas that they've had, but then everything else is just like copy. I feel like, and everybody, it's an industry of copycats. So no hate on that, but I hate their culture that they have. But they market it well, man. They know how to make money.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Dive Bomb rep on in a couple podcasts, so y'all stay tuned for that. Because I mean, we're like you said, if Zane and we can put ourselves in those shoes, if we were making money hand over fist like they're doing, I wouldn't want people knocking me. That's dude, I have a huge problem with people like, oh, that celebrity or that football player, they shouldn't make that much money or blah, blah, blah. No, fuck you. Like, dude, I'm not, but if I'm Patrick Mahomes and I'm the best quarterback in the league, dude, and I pull big numbers and I make plays, like I deserve to get paid what I paid, and you shouldn't be able to take a cut of that. Fuck you. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. Cancel me. I don't give a shit. That's how I feel about that. But back to the topic of decoys.
So that's what we run. That's what we run full body crane. We run on not super windy days, but not still days. When we want some motion, we run socks. I have no idea what socks they are. They look like they're from 2000. Dude. 2000. Do you even know what brand they are?
Yeah, they're the OG sock brand, Silla Socks. So Silla Sock, you can go on. It's Silla Socks, or it might be Real Wings Decoys online. I can't remember, but I think Jim, the guy that owns that, great guy. If I was gonna buy Silla or socks, I would buy the Silla Socks. The Dive Bomb ones, just from running both of them, they're just night and day difference. Now I will say the ones we have been used extensively over my entire career, and I've never sold them. It's just been like I've been stuck with them. I hoard things. I hoard those decoys. So like, yes, like some of them slide down on the bases, things like that. But it adds a lot of motion to the decoys. I could probably do like an entire podcast alone just talking about the the full body decoys, because there's you got to break it down on a couple levels, because your SX crane is not the same decoy as your deception crane and vice versa. Now, let's just put the two side by side. While I'm doing this, I'm gonna pull it up. Your SX crane decoy is going to be significantly more expensive than your deception decoy, and it's made in China. So for your 2-pack of your painted crane full bodies right now, as of today, they are $194.99 per 2-pack for SX painted cranes. Not they're fully flocked, they're painted. And if you're going to deception, which deception kind of does a little different. That's one thing that reason why we went with another 20 dozen this year from them is because they give us a third position. Your SX cranes only give you 2 positions, as opposed to your deceptions that give you 3 positions.
Did Scott tell us he's working? Not a lot of people buy full body crane decoys, so we're kind of in the minority. Did he tell us he's working on a third or fourth? Yeah, it's definitely a niche, and it makes back to the dive bomb thing, it makes sense why people want to try crane hunting. They buy silos because you can spend a couple $100 and have a full spread instead of spending a couple $100 on 2 decoys. So
That's why.
I think Scott mentioned he was making more positions for the crane or in the works of trying to figure out what positions to do.
I think this next summer he's we talk quite often, but I think this next summer he's going to develop that, or maybe it is right now. He's developing that third kind of looking position rather than a high head or a feeder. So we'll see that
tweener.
Yeah. But for the Sandhill Crane 3-pack, you're looking for the large ones, not the Western series. I like the bigger decoys, bigger footprint. That's what we went with. $275 a 3-pack. Now we do get a little pull when it comes to them because, like if I order 20 dozen, SX decoys, we're looking at, right about 20 grand. And if I order 20 dozen, with Deception, I'm getting a little better deal. And they both give us discounts. I personally like Scott to death. I think he's a great guy, but I feel like I wasn't getting for an outfit that runs as many hunts as we does, gets the exposure, promotes the heck out of, I just don't feel like we were given much, or not necessarily given much. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm just asking for a little bit of a break when it comes to that. Because most people, you can go buy an entire goose spread, with like, hell, you can probably buy like 30, 40 dozen full body goose decoys for $15,000. But I got it for me to buy like 20 dozen full bodies for SX. It's going to cost me 20 grand. It's different. It's not apples to apples when it comes that way. And yeah, we're a niche market, but he's got to be making more off that. And I don't want to go into that because Scott's a great guy. So Scott, if you're listening to this, I don't want you to think we're dogging you on that. That's just kind of my honest opinion when it comes to that. So kind of back to the review. SX has 2 positions, looking to a third. Deception has 3. Deception is made in the USA, so we're supporting, a local company. I will say one thing that SX has way better than Deception. And Garrett, sorry if you listen to this, my man. If I pick up the phone right now, I could probably get Scott first ring. Scott or Rachel, his I don't know if it's his wife. I think it's his wife. Yeah. I can get one of them on the phone and they will get back. And if they don't, they'll call me back instantly. If I call Garrett, he might not answer. He might not ever get back to me. It's kind of like you always have to keep dialing that one. So that's kind of, take that for what it's worth. I like customer service. So, I ordered crane decoys like right after seasons, like the first, second week of February. I didn't get them until like, what was it, May? Which isn't a big deal because season's not till like, end of late October, but I was told 2 weeks. So take that for what it's worth, however you want to feel about it. I got my decoys, but it wasn't right away, which I didn't need them. But, when I'm told one thing and then I'm waiting for the other thing, it kind of just doesn't look very good. Deception, in my opinion, has a way better carving. They're more unique. They've got more detail. However, that being said, SX, in my opinion, has a better decoy. They hold up, dude. We beat these.
We do have a lot of, granted, they're older Deceptions. This isn't this round of them, so they've had more years on them. But we treat those SX like a football sometimes, and just eat them in a trailer. And you think for $200 something a 2-pack, we take better care of them. But you get to the end of the season, and it's just like, just throw them in. And the only thing that's happened with those is some paint chipping on like the impact points, maybe, and it's negligible. The one nice thing about crane decoys is the actual plastic's gray, so there's not a lot of paint on them other than the detail, because the crane's gray too, which is nice. But then on the SX decoys, we have a bunch that are beakless or like, just all sorts of stuff, which it's our own fault. But it's a testament to whatever that plastic difference is, that you can beat the shit out of one and it not break anything, and then the other one you have beaks breaking off and stuff like that.
Yeah, I will kind of just slightly correct you. The SX decoys are roto molded with a gray mold. The Deceptions aren't. They're roto molded in like a white, like almost like a cream color, and then they're painted gray with they're painted with a primer, and then they're painted the color they are.
Yeah, you can see that when the beaks break because inside's white.
Yeah, but that being said, the SX are manufactured in China, like cookie cutter style. You can't get, I want more juvie packs. I called Garrett with Deception. Garrett customizes. I'm like, hey, Garrett, or brother Grant, like, hey, I need, 10 dozen decoys. I want, 8 dozen feeders, and I want 4 dozen of those feeders to be juvies with more of that bronze color on there. They kind of custom tailor it to your needs. So just pick up the phone and call. Somebody's gonna tell you no, and I'm sure, like, if you're spending, the money on that, they're gonna want to work with you. So just reach out to them. All of them are great guys. Like, all of them will take the shirt off your back and help you out. But in my honest opinion, that's why we went with Deceptions, because they were quite a bit cheaper. I'm talking like thousands of dollars more cost effective. They gave us a third position. It's got a metal stake for Deception. SX has a fiberglass.
You get juvie patterns, and you can get lessers and graders with Deception, right?
Yeah, you can get your lesser series or your large ones. Yeah. So take it for what it's worth. That's kind of where we stand on that. Now, if we want to kind of flip it over to our duck, that's a little different. We're all over the place.
Let's see. Off the top of my head, because I was kind of the one that cleaned out the duck trailer. We have GHG, we have Tangle Free, we have Dakotas, I'm a big AVNX guy, so I have AVNXs in there. We don't have any heydays, but I know we want heydays. Mainly just because they're cool and they have a lot of motion. Yeah, Lifetime, Heyday, same company. We have a ton of Flambos, which
hold on.
Use as kind of filler decoys.
Let me explain that. I was at Walmart, and you can knock them all day if you want. If you find a 6-pack of duck decoys for $15, a half dozen, you're gonna buy them. So yeah, you bet your ass. I bought like 7. No, was it 5?
I think you just cleared out the aisle.
Yeah, it was like.
But the thing is with duck decoys, you can kill ducks over milk jugs. So like it's just like fishing lures, right? Preference. Obviously, there's better ones than others. Like some of your higher end ones, like your AVNX, you're gonna hold the paint better. They're not gonna break. I'm a big AVNX guy because of the actual plastic itself on it. Just it doesn't crack. It doesn't do anything because it's kind of the EVA squishy.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you spend the extra money is on the longevity of it. But like on Flambos, like you're gonna kill just as many. They may be a little shinier, dragging through some dirt, but for the most part, I mean, you're not gonna flare a lot of ducks to the end of season, and even then, it's more about hide than anything. I feel like, like if you're gonna spend money on something, maybe spend it on a blind and spend extra time hiding in that blind than on buying, decoys, and then maybe funnel into decoys if you want. And then, like I think you said this, we run predominantly Lifetime / Heyday rigs, which we swear by, all Texas rigs. We do have a bunch of Rig'em Right rigs that we just got in we got from Rig'em Right. We just got them from another outfitter for a steal. So
yeah, I mean what turned me to Lifetime, which is now Heyday. Peter Andrews, owner, another great guy as well. It's PVC coated cable, so it doesn't kink. If you tie it and wrench it down, yeah, it's going to kink, but it doesn't kink for the most part. It's literally tangle free. I mean, everything can tangle, but it's way less of a tangle than, say, you're like, people that make their homemade, 400-pound monofilament fishing line ones. Those are going to tangle like nobody's business. But, a little while ago, Rig'em Right, they also made it a PVC coated cable. So we run a little bit of both, but we're kind of all over the market. Like Zane said, you can kill them over basically anything. I mean, hell, the ones we have in the trailer that should be on a shelf somewhere, like the old original carry lights. Now, most of you probably don't know what carry light is, or haven't heard of it in a long time. Carry lights, one of the OGs, just like G&H, the old Flambos, like the original decoy manufacturers. Like they don't even have weighted keels. Like it's just like open in the keel, so water can like hold it down, blowing off with the wind, or your weight. But anyways, yeah, you can shoot them over anything. We use a little bit of everything. Like Zane said, like our field decoys, we're running GHG mallards, we're running
AVNX full bodies. Yeah, like our motion decoys are where we kind of got pissed off at one company and switched to another. We had a lot of we had a lot of mojos. They just don't last. Like we lost wings left and right with the way that system is. they don't work half the time. They fall out of the stakes. Like it. Granted, we're rough on stuff, so some of it might
But
be on us. But I just even when we bought them, we bought all. See,
there
we
were like
bought
8 of them. It was a lot.
8 to 10 of the elites or whatever of all
Yeah.
mallards, and I think it was we maybe bought a few hens, but then we bought the remotes for them too, right? Instead of just having the on-off switch, you put the little receiver in, and every single one of them, the receiver wouldn't fit in. We had to actually reach in there with the knife and like bend the USB to make it work on every one. And it'd be different if it was just one, but like that was kind of the first foul taste in our mouth, and then they just were rough all season. So I think Sam, we still have them.
I made the
Like you
executive
said,
decision to switch to Lucky Duck.
we hoard stuff, but yeah, we bought a bunch of Lucky Ducks, and I think it's cool. Lucky Duck, I feel like offers a lot more motion too if you're trying to stay brand loyal and stay on the same remotes because you can get flappers, you can get spinners and stuff like that, all and run them all off the same remote. But I don't know. We'll see how those last. It's not that we're loyal to one; we just didn't like the outcome of running the other. And I feel like when Mojo first came out, and they do make great products like Pick Stick, fantastic.
Yeah.
They're
Awesome.
magnetic sticks and stuff like that. And some of their other stuff they run, like their Dove stuff is fine. They have a lot of Dove tree, like all the Dove accessories are fine, but it's just we run them for forever, and it feels like quality goes down every couple of years on them. Every time they kind of redo something and make it better, it feels like it just goes down.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try out Lucky Duck this year. I'm a big Lucky Duck guy. I run, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I run the kennel. I like their predator calls. So we're gonna give them the try this year and see how much we can abuse them.
Yep. I mean, that's for as far as like the duck decoys, hell, and all my new dove decoys. I went with all Lucky Duck this year, and in my opinion, Lucky Duck doesn't do much for their outfitters. They really don't. Like, you can get better prices on Rogers. Honestly, we have our discount codes through them, and I bought everything on Rogers just because you get better deals, and I have just a mental block against
Which,
that.
yeah, I agree with that. The same thing is kind of with Rig 'em Right. Like we bought a bunch of Rig 'em Right pop-ups that we got for like 80% off on Rogers, and they're badass pop-ups. And it's like, why, how come they can afford to sell it for that? Obviously, Rogers buys a lot more volume than we do and stuff like that. But it's like, tell me there's not like a little bit more wiggle room there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're the ones that use these day in and day out and put customers in them, and these customers go home and buy their own. That's my thought process.
it's the first question. I feel like when you're sitting in the blind waiting on it to get light out, or when there's a lull, it's like, well, what are you running and why do you run it? And like we're not the toot our own horn, but most outfitters for the most part are some of the biggest salesmen because you rely on your gear to make money, and you're gonna hype up the gear that's the best. Like the gear you believe is the best is the gear you're gonna sell. So, or the gear you're gonna push. So I don't.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I think you get a little bit more upset with them than I do, just because I'm like, eh. Like it is what it is. I'm just happy. I'm just happy to get a deal if they offer one. But yeah, it makes you a little butthurt when you can go on Rogers sometimes and see like those panel or those blinds are running for like $120 and we get them for like 220, and it's like that's a big difference. It'd be different if it was closer.
Yeah. No,
But
that's where I'm kind of at, is that on that. But yeah, like Zane said, he uses their dog kennel. I'm a gunner guy. We don't see eye to eye on that one.
we it yeah, it's they're both the same crash rating. I like it just because it's lighter weight. The gunner definitely has more beefiness to it. I don't know. You can go back and forth all day on that. I have
the
nothing
gunner
against Gunner.
they're both y'all, the Lucky Ducks are roto molded too, correct?
Yeah, the Lucky Ducks are all one piece. I think the bigger Gunners are two piece, right?
Almost
Like
all
your
2 pieces.
yeah. So that is, in my opinion, that gets rid of a weak point. Grant, I think now we've rotated in the dog stuff, but the Gunners are great. You hear a lot of testimonies on it. I mean, you don't necessarily. I'm curious, and I hope it never happens. But like the Gunner crash ratings are based off of them being strapped down, you don't strap them down. So I'm curious to know like where the rating changes there. It's the same with the Lucky Duck one. If I don't
Well, I
strap it down,
mean,
it doesn't really matter.
I like
But
I first
yours are
I
yeah
mean, I have like not directly me, Harry, my college roommate, one of my best buds, you know him. He he had an 18-wheeler merge into his lane while he was pulling a boat with two gunners in the back of his truck with his dogs in them. It pushed the boat through the bed of the truck and into the cab and yoinked both gunners into oncoming traffic on what's the highway that goes to Houston? Is that 45 from Dallas?
from Dallas, yeah, 45.
Yeah. It launched them into oncoming traffic. Now, luckily, they didn't get hit by a car, when they were thrown into oncoming traffic, but it did yoink them out going 75 miles an hour. Both dogs were perfectly fine, minus just being shaken up, but they didn't have broken bones. They weren't, scarred up, road rash, nothing like that. They were safe, however you want to put that. So like firsthand, like that makes me feel good knowing that those dogs weren't strapped in, that those gunners did fly out of the truck and they did, protect. I talk shit to you more or less just because that's just
Yeah,
who we are.
we talk shit about anything. I give you shit about, and I still do give you shit about shit cut, as I like to call it, as I have $10,000 worth of it. I just it's more just hagging, ragging on each other and stuff like that. But they each have their perks. Like I mean, the gunners are
Go.
for a smaller interior size, it's a bigger exterior size. So if you're like me and you have a short bed F-150, like you lose a lot of bed space, and you end up with more kennel space and a smaller package with the Lucky Duck than you do with the Gunner because they're not double walled. The Gunner's double walled, it holds heat and cold, and it holds heat and it keeps cool better because it's double walled. It's like a Yeti cooler
Like
essentially there,
it's like a Yeti cooler, Arctic cooler, like that same sort
which
of
my logic there was, you know, I can obviously I'm gonna have pine straw and stuff like that in the kennel. Dog's never gonna sleep in the kennel overnight. It's gonna be inside with me anytime. So when it's hot out, it should be fine. Plus, they sell a cover for it you can put on it, so it should be good. Or excuse me, when it's cold out, it should be fine. And then when it's hot out, I have a fan attachment for it, and I can run air through it. And it only keeps it so cool. Like if it's 110 out, they show like 90 degrees in the kennel. It's like it's a big difference, but the same thing happens if you run airflow through it. So that was kind of my logic behind it. Plus, we're Lucky Duck throws us an outfitter thing, and Gunner doesn't. And I think I got a decent deal on it. It wasn't great. We're gonna try them out. It's not like I'm tied to it. And
yeah.
you never know. I'll probably have. If you get more dogs, I'm gonna have to get a bigger kennel, and that's one thing Gunner does that Lucky Duck doesn't is they offer like 8 different kennel sizes. It's like you can get Lucky Duck offers a intermediate, which was their original size, and then they offer a large, and the large is not that much bigger than the intermediate, whereas Gunner has like what 6 or 7 sizes.
Five, maybe 6. They got their large, intermediate, medium, and I think 1 or 2. They got for sure 1 more, possibly 2 more. So it's like 5 or 6.
So you definitely get more, and then if you're like bougie-ish, they throw out different colors and stuff like that. Lucky Ducks, like you get gray whether you like it or not. Right now, Gunner just came out with the Susquehanna. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
Well, they spelled it wrong. I'm on their website. It says the Susquehanna series, but then the button says Shop Susquehanna series. So I'm not sure what's what. But they come out with stuff like that. They kind of, if you want to stay brand loyal, you can get the food crate with it and other things. So it just depends on preference, I think.
If you're like Zane and I are, 1 pro, and I'm a Gunner guy, 1 pro, in my opinion, to the Lucky Duck kennel is that they do offer a fully encased cover in Optifade waterfowl, Optifade marsh and timber. Gunner
and solid if you don't care for Optifade.
And in my opinion, Gunner lacks on. They have a cold weather or a weather deal, which it looks about as janky as what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a tarp system.
Yeah, I don't like it. They both have fans, so you can get fans. That's kind of the same.
Which for anybody that runs kennels, no hate to Gunner, no hate to Lucky Duck there, because they both offer a fan system that runs off of AC or DC power, whichever one you need to hook it up to. But that fan kit see the gunner one, the whole kit is $350. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy, everybody probably has tools. I'm a Ryobi guy because I don't do stuff commercially. Sam for the outfitter has continually bought Milwaukee. Go buy the little Milwaukee or Ryobi fans. You can get, if you don't own Ryobi stuff, you just want to dedicate it, you can get 2 batteries and a Ryobi fan, which the Ryobi fan's dual powered. You can plug it in your truck bed if you have an outlet for like $100,
Yep.
and then just hang it up on there. And honestly, it's less issues because anything AC DC powered, I feel like always gets weird whenever you have it out in weather. And these are, weatherproof, shoot it through. So
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
they got to make money. Yeah, the weather kit is literally just a tarp with straps for the gunner.
yep.
Whereas the Lucky Duck one, like I have, when I had it on there before the puppy was diarrheaing everywhere, which it's about to go back on now. It's got pockets on every side. It's got storage. It still allows you to get to the tie downs. It's an off the fade if you want off the fade stuff. I don't really care for it, but I went for it. I love off the fade, but I just went for it. I don't know. I'd like it more. It still gives you all weather kit because you can close over the windows if you want. But
yeah,
I could probably put insulation in between that and the kennel and give it a double wall. So it is what it is.
Well, kind of jumping back into some other gear that we kind of use. You briefly touched on a while ago. This isn't a life or death, but something that we use. There's many other brands you can get out there that do the same thing, or you don't even have to go with the hunting brand. You can probably find them cheaper. And I mentioned it on one of the last podcasts. You can get the Mojo pick sticks for picking up your holes, which is so simple to do, and everyone should do it. I'm not a tree hugger. Do it for the environment. Do it because number one, it's the right thing to do. And if you're in like a cattle patch or something, a cow could choke on that wad or that hole.
It's a very quick way to lose access if it's not in your land. Whether it be a farmer that's just annoyed seeing it all, and he's going through tilling everything up, or a farmer that comes and finds a dead cow and wants to figure out how it died that's got brass or holes in it. It's a simple fix. It's just laziness, in my opinion.
Yep. But that's what we use. We use those. We have trash cans in each of our trailers. So we, while we're breaking down, that's usually a task that we ask a customer to do because it's easy. They're not really having to, lift much or do much, but just, hey, walk around, fill this 5-gallon bucket up, go dump it in the trash can of holes, empty boxes, water bottles, cans, whatever it is. Just pick up your trash. That's what we do recommend. As far as like the majority of what we run, that's kind of the gist of like the main things we run. For waterfowl, now we can go off on side tangents. One thing I am going to talk about, and I don't have a whole lot of experience with the other brand, but I am anti Spy Point. They have the most dog shit customer service there ever is.
Just across their cameras don't. So yeah, I actually meant to write that down when we were talking about how we were going to do an actual company one. DTO as a whole, it runs everything Spy Point, and then I run on the high fence stuff. I run Spy Point. We just merge the accounts, so we get all the pictures together, and we can get all excited when they see exotics, and we can play tricks on our buddy that kind of helps out with the deer stuff and tell them that those are out, west and not at my place and stuff like that. But they just are garbage. They're so hit or miss on when they work or not. Their customer service is bad. And it's like, we own, between me and Sam, have probably 15 cameras, maybe. I run at least 6.
It's probably closer to like,
and it's like, it's just nonstop issues. And it sucks because their customer service is garbage. And they even I bought one from my father-in-law and his doesn't work. So I was like, oh, shocker. So I'm looking at switching to the reveals for me personally.
The cam reveal.
It's just an expensive. Yeah, it's just like, you pour so much money in when you're running cell cams, and I even bought the cheaper ones, and I still, I'm $800 into running the Spy Point cell cams. They just don't work, and I'm annoyed by them. And Sam has the same ones with the little solar panel, and they don't work. Like, they lasted like a year, and it was like middle finger, we're out.
Almost
and,
like
and even Yeah, and some of them didn't even last a year, and some of them didn't work from the beginning, and we never got like any help from customer service. So
Yeah, they've replaced one of mine so far, and and this was like I stopped calling, and they called me 4 months after like the last time I called out of the blue, and were like, oh, well, let's try to troubleshoot it. And I was like, well, I don't have it here. It's out right now, trying to work. I've brought it back. I've tinkered with it. I've reset it, like flash that SD card, like the whole 9 yards. Everything your website says do, I've done. And of course, they're out of Canada, which is nothing against Canada, but their call center's out of like fucking Philippines or something. They're not English. They don't understand our basic needs. And like you said, dude, we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars invested, just the cameras, not even comparing the cell plans. Like, I'm getting fucked. I've got
it's
hundreds,
rough.
thousands of dollars in cell plans that I'm not getting anything for. I've got probably 10 different units out right now that were working or
monthly for
semi-working
and not seeing.
3 or 4 months ago during turkey season, and now none of them are working. And it's not because the SD cards are full. They just simply don't work. Whether you take them to a cell tower that's pinging off of, or 5 miles away where it's hard to get service, you just don't get service anywhere. And I'm done with them. I'm done with Spy Point. So if you hear this,
I think I'm gonna.
No.
And it's a very common complaint from everybody I know that use a Spy Point, which we kind of knew going in. We're like, it can't be like that bad, and it's not great. And I have that low fence stuff. We're going to start running some things on that butts up to the high fence. And I think I'm going to buy some reveals to try out there. And if they're good, I'll probably list all my Spy Point stuff on Facebook Marketplace and just sell it for whatever somebody offers me.
Yeah.
Or piece it out. If anybody on here wants it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I don't think I could get anything from mine because I don't think they work. It's that bad. And most of these I haven't had a year. Be a year in like September.
The one thing Spy Point does that no one else does is they have that cell link adapter where, like, if you have a whole bunch of cell cams already, or not cell cams, excuse me, if you have a whole bunch of like normal game cams already, like if you run the Wild Game Innovations, or I'm a big Tasco fan, you get them at Walmart, they like $28 and they will literally not stop running. They run forever. It's just not the greatest picture, but you can plug, it's like a memory card attached to a cord, and you plug it into that and it goes up to like this wireless transmitter, and it turns that camera into a wireless camera for like $30.
Yeah.
I think that's worth working off and on. Like if you're going to spend $30 to make a cell camera on a cell camera you exist, I would say try it. I have two. To be honest, they're probably the more consistent of the ones that do work. The issues I have with them are not the cell thing; it's the actual camera. But I want to try the reveals. I've run Covert before, and they were pretty solid, but even they had their issues. One thing I miss is back when cell cams first came out, you'd pay like $200 for the year, but you got unlimited cameras on it. So I could send however many pictures, and now it's like they don't offer that. Like you can pay for the unlimited, but it's $20 a month or whatever like that. Or if you pay for the year, it makes it $15 a month, and you have to pay per camera. I miss the lump sum. Just let me pay for it.
Tacticam is going back to that, so we'll see. They're supposed to be coming back.
Tacticam is the reveals. So they kind of, if you Google them, you have to look up reveal cameras, but reveal cameras is owned by Tacticam, which makes like gun mounted cameras and stuff like that, which I have one of those. Haven't got to put it to use, but I like it quite a bit.
I run the shot cam.
Few times I've messed around.
Yeah, I run the shot cam. I love it. We're kind of getting long here, so we're gonna wrap it up. Let us know what y'all like. If y'all want us to review, like, we have a ton of other gear that we use every day. We just kind of hit the main points. So let us know. If you want us to get into like cleaning tools, what we use to wash our meat with, what we use to wash our game meat with, what knives we use, what bags, what food processors, like food savers, like what stuff we use, just let us know. Love to jump into that. Just let us know, leave a comment. If you have any questions, hit us up on our social medias, dirtytexasoutfitters.com, our website. Just let us know. We'd love to hear any feedback you'll have. But if you don't have anything else, Zane, we'll catch y'all on the next one and go shoot some dove. Teal season's right here, so let's get after it, and y'all have a good start to the season.